Detective Inspector Pat North was the most senior woman CID officer at South Lambeth Street, the station serving South Lambeth, Nine Elms, and the southern Thames riverbank between Vauxhall and Chelsea Bridges. The policing of this locality means involvement in the problems of large commercial developments strung along the riverside, such as the huge site of New Covent Garden Vegetable Market, as well as those of the residential streets and estates arrayed on either side of Wandsworth Road, the A3 trunk road down which traffic surges out of London towards Guildford, Portsmouth and the south coast. Pat North was relatively new to the manor, having transferred there a few months previously. In that time, she had seen the very best and the very worst of human nature, always simmering dangerously close to boiling point in the vast, volatile pressure cooker of the inner city. On the face of it, a missing person was another routine occurrence. The woman, Susie Harrow, had gone AWOL only 36 hours previously, which was no time at all in the context of the uncountable daily accumulation of random movements and decisions made by the population of London. When the case had landed on her desk the previous night, after Sergeant Morris brought it to her in the crime management unit, it had not at first seemed one over which to lose a lot of sleep. "I posted her on the missing persons log," Morris told her. "She's not in any of the local A&E units, and I phoned Fulham, Kennington and Battersea nicks myself. If she's got herself nicked somewhere else, something may come through on the computer. Mrs. Harrow's worried about the little girl. She can't take care of her, got to work." Pat North studied the report. "That's a social services problem, surely." "Well, not exactly, because I filed the report as a vulnerable missing persons. It's totally out of character for her to leave the little girl." "If you say so." But North wanted to know more. Morris was sometimes mocked around the station for his earnestness, but he was nothing if not diligent. "Go on," she said. "There's no husband, but there is a boyfriend, Nicky Burton. He's a bouncer at a local nightclub. She works at a bar and a massage parlour, Pinker's, off King's Road." P.C. Phelps, sitting at a computer, pricked up his ears. "That's a knocking shop, or it used to be." North looked at him sharply. She and Phelps had worked together before she knew him. "How do you know?" Phelps grinned. "Just a wild guess." North thought for a moment, pulling at her lip. "Well, let's look into it." She yawned. It had been another long day, and this would keep, until tomorrow anyway. The Harrow woman would probably have turned up by then. She stood up and dropped the file in front of Phelps, who seized it and began rifling through B.B. Harrow's statement. "I'll do the massage parlour," he said, a shade too eagerly. Morris leaned over and snatched the file back. "I bet you will, sunshine." Pat North had pulled her coat from the rack. Phelps was a cheeky sod, none too tactful, and if Susie Harrow really was a hooker, they'd better give her disappearance a touch more priority than a couple of uniforms. "No, Simon, I'll handle that particular visit myself." She had spoken as she walked to the door. When she got there, she turned, jabbing a finger at the constable. "But I tell you what, you find the boyfriend. She may be with him or he may know where she is. And keep your eyes open, right?" North and Detective Sergeant Lawrence Brown found that Pinker's was not the sleazy clip joint of Phelps's fevered imagination, but a clean, business-like establishment, its ambience floating somewhere halfway between an alternative health clinic and a beauty salon. The bright, recently painted walls displayed advertisements for reflexology, acupuncture, electrolysis, and non-surgical facelifts. Monica Fuller sat demurely behind reception, a carefully made-up middle-aged woman in a white coat. Not a hair of her elaborate coiffure was out of place, and she seemed unworried by the arrival of the police. "To be honest," she was saying, "Susie really let me down. I mean, she was supposed to be in last night, but she's not called, and she has some clients who won't go with anyone else." Pat North looked around. At a second glance, there was the merest hint that sexual services were not out of the question here. An exceptionally glamorous young staff member had walked into reception with an exaggerated swing to her hips. She was wearing full makeup and stiletto heels. The shortness of her white coat was not what you would see around Harley Street. Brown's eyes noted this. His brain was thinking, and what's she wearing underneath? "So when was the last time you saw her?" asked North. Mrs. Fuller shrugged. "Thursday night. Is she in trouble?" Choosing not to respond to the question, Pat North met the woman's eyes. Is there anyone I can talk to who saw her on Thursday? The short-coated girl looked brightly at North, batting her coloured up and spikily false-lashed eyelids. "You hear about Susie?" she asked in a bright, high voice. Mrs. Fuller stood up. Suddenly she was flustered, for the girl's appearance and demeanour had tended to blow her cover.